Hello and welcome to my first video really that I'm ever doing, but I wanted to do something of me trying out Arrtx paint markers for the first time. I've done paints in the past and mixed medias overall, but it's been a while since I've touched anything, so I was really nervous honestly on how it would go, but I ended up really loving it honestly, and I'm so excited to keep using them more. Right now I'm just sketching out my planned piece for this. I did some exploring, as you can see on the left hand side, where I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my first one, where it was hopefully something really pretty but not too ambitious, just because it has been a while since I've done a full colored piece that wasn't digital, or like just kind of very simple art with no shading. So yeah, there's not too much for me to say at this point, so in the meantime I'll let you guys just enjoy. Finishing up the sketch and moving on to the actual painting part. As you can see, I kind of made my own swatch page already just to kind of be prepared and get that out of the way. It also let me kind of know what I wanted to do as my first painting, because I did see some colors and knew that it would work well for this character. The character I decided to do was my girl Juniper. And yeah, I'd like to maybe do a proper video, maybe going over her as a character overall, but in general, I mostly just went for because of her colors. She's lots of pinks and a little bit of green, but leaning more to the blue side. She does have a daughter that leans to those warmer greens, but I just wanted to draw her mom instead, because she's definitely been a bit of a brain rot in my head lately with her and her husband. So I had a lot of fun bringing her in and doing some color, because I haven't really done a finished piece of her before. I've done some sketches, I've added some color before, but it's definitely not been a full piece. So I got really excited for that. Right now I'm just figuring out the skin. To talk about the actual paint markers, they're really easy to work with, which is nice. They dry surprisingly fast. I'm so used to working with Poscas where like they kind of take forever to dry, and they don't have the most control, which you'd think you'd have more control considering I don't have like the brush pens for Poscas, but it's hard to kind of control the paint that comes out, where these ones I don't have to shake, I don't have to do anything fancy, I just instantly start using them. In fact, the kind of hard part was partly that it dried so quick, because there is definitely later parts where I try to do a bit of blending, and not like, I'm glad that the overcoat or like the initial coat is nice and dry when I do that, because I don't necessarily want to go ruining each marker. But the hard part is I tend to have this habit where I'm like, okay, the paint's dry, and then I go to do another coat and I'll blend out the edges with my finger, and you'll see me kind of try to do it, but most of the paints actually dry really fast where I actually couldn't do it. And that's honestly fine for the most part. It was really great how quickly it dried, but in some parts it did make it difficult where I didn't have necessarily the perfect color for doing the shading. You'll see later with the dress especially, I initially go with one that's too dark, and then I think, okay, I'll layer over it. But then the flat color that I chose for it is one of the ones that's a lot more opaque. So it actually just went right over it after. So I try another color, and it's a little more vibrant than I would have liked. But it still works. I do end up eventually going in with pencil, not only to sharpen it, but like to add a bit more color in. And I even do use some like markers and highlighters just to help with getting some of the shading. But that's mostly just me not knowing certain colors quite yet, or just knowing what to work with, and only working with the palette itself. There's definitely a lot of colors to choose from, and I'm so glad that they all work so well together, because that's definitely been an issue in the past when I've gotten sets for something and it's like, cool, I have the rainbow and I don't have anything to help with this. And as vibrant as I like working with colors and stuff, if there's no transition colors, I do kind of struggle, because I don't necessarily do a lot of kind of pop art most times. So it was always kind of hard to make pieces unless I was specifically in one of those moods. So it's been really nice that I kind of looked at the swatches and instantly went, okay, I know a piece that I can make for this and I'm gonna have fun with it. And right now you can see me kind of just putting in all the flats. I do end up going and changing the color of the grass. It still stays kind of part of that, like some of the green shows through, but I do go in with a darker green and then again with the lighter to kind of try and mix it and add a bit more variety and make it look like grass. It does look like grass there, just very, very vibrant. And as nice as it is, it's definitely not having as much contrast as I would have preferred, which nothing on the colors there, they're beautiful. It was definitely just me maybe not planning out the best. I probably should have done a thumbnail where I actually did the colors and not just the sketch itself. But yeah, here you can see me kind of going in with those colors. And honestly, looking at it now, I do like that darkness for it. I like that shading, but I think I would need to have one other color that's just in between the two, just so then I could make it a little bit easier, so I could have those hard shadows, but then also have some soft parts. But the three colors that I kind of worked with there, they just didn't necessarily all work well, at least not in my head. So I did end up changing that in a bit, but I think it would work in a different lighting setting, because if I had like harder shadows, then it'd be great. But I did do a bit of a softer light for this one, so I do go back and changing it in. The one thing I had to kind of keep in mind a lot too was with these paints, they're closer to, I'd say, gouache, where they dry darker than what you put them down as. So when I was doing the pink for this hair, I was so confused at first, because I definitely tested it next to each other and I was like, okay, yeah, this is dark enough. But when I started putting it on the actual hair, I couldn't see where I was putting it initially, because it did start off as the same color almost, but then it darkened after. And here where I'm putting down some more hair and strands, you can kind of see that some of the paints do have different opacity for them. And I kind of expected that to happen. I know that going over a darker color with a lighter color is always going to be a little trickier, at least in some cases. And I definitely ended up running into it with the pink going over the green, where the greens, every single one of those greens was so pigmented, where even when I go over thinking I can just lighten up that shadow a little with the lighter color, and it instantly covers it. You can see me kind of trying to do the blending thing there and it not quite working, where I either remove all of it or a little, but just thinking, okay, I'll go over it a little bit and then it'll be fine, but it just ends up covering it fully pretty much. So I ended up switching to the mid-tone blue between the two of them, or like the bluish green. I like to call it Miku green. It looks more blue here for sure, and it does end up kind of looking blue just in comparison because the base color was a lot more green. But when I swatched it out, I was like, it's Miku. So that's me getting kind of base colors down. I do try figuring out kind of the shadows. And it is an okay color for doing the shadows. I just kind of wanted a little bit more tinted, and that's why I go in with a marker after. But it is great for getting all the bases down, and honestly, it's been so great with just like how easy it is to use this. But definitely it is a learning curve for me because I in general haven't painted in a while, and then I also just am not used to it drying so quickly, but it's been really great to get back into this and figuring it out, and the brush pen is like surprisingly very easy to have control over. I was kind of worried about that because I do draw in like ink pens with brushes, and some of them are a lot more flimsy, which is like, some of them are fine for doing color, and I guess maybe that's why I was okay with it, but when doing liner, it's really hard. And I wasn't gonna test that with this like smaller book. So I went in knowing that I was gonna go over with some pencil and maybe some marker here and there. But this is me just trying to kind of blend in the blush for her face. And I ended up just kind of, since I couldn't do my usual like blending with my finger method, I still kind of try to attempt it, but I end up just going in with like 3 different pinks and the peach and her skin tone, and just kind of going back and forth with each one to get it a nice gradient. And I'm definitely happy that it definitely gave a good variety for skin tones, not necessarily too many for maybe darker skin tones, but honestly, like, considering this isn't a skin tone palette, it's just a variety of colors, I'm very happy with what I'm able to do with it. And there is a few like browns that I can work with. It's just not necessarily the browns I'm used to, so it would just depend on what I'm working with. But for what I'm doing today, it's been amazing, and yeah. I'm definitely very new to this whole talking over thing, and we'll see how much I absolutely hate my voice. I feel like I probably am talking in a voice that doesn't feel like my own in some ways. So we'll see if that changes over time. I'm definitely usually at fault of the customer service voice. But I wanted to just start trying to do these kind of videos and just see how it goes. I always love watching other people's processes and hearing their commentary on it. So I just wanted to give it a try. And here you can see me doing the darker green, and I definitely am so happy I did that because it really instantly makes her pop out a lot more. Where before, I think the only thing that would have saved her is in fact line art. But yeah, so it was definitely a good choice. There I am again with my trying to smudge it with my finger. I do hope that I'll be able to do some that are not on like hyper speed in the near future. It's just I'm definitely a bit slower when I'm recording because I think I overthink things a bit, and also with navigating this new material. I guess that's not the wrong term for it. This new medium, just in general there. And the last time I've done like a colored piece, I did more pencil crayon than anything. Or I do like pops of color now and then, but I wanted to start doing full pieces again because I do miss that, just having that bit of color. So I'm definitely excited for it, and I might do some future videos that are like maybe on Juniper herself or her her family or the story that I'm making for them. But also just maybe some sketchbook pages, like filling them out. Depending on, I guess, what I get up to here, what people end up liking, or if no one ever sees this, that's also a-okay. I just wanted to really have fun and kind of start recording things a bit more to be able to look back on it, because I've always liked seeing process videos. And yeah, you can see, oh my goodness, I didn't even see that I was starting to go into with my pencils. I kind of started just rambling, but yeah, so here I am kind of going back and forth between using a blue pencil, it was ultramarine blue, and then my red, which I think was, yes, it was carmine red, for the warmer tones, and just kind of hopping between the two to give some definition and everything. I do realize like halfway through lining that I want her hairline to be lower, so I do have to do that as well. But I do end up kind of going back and forth as well between doing the pencil and then I go back in with some of the paint. But it's definitely very nice, and it's been it's been a while since I've painted, but even longer since I've done like a mixed media situation where I do like a full piece. It's not just a sketch with a pop of color like with watercolor, but I actually go in and do lighting, all that stuff. And I definitely look forward to doing it even more, and I'm glad that my sketchbook can handle this. The one amazing thing is, and I didn't end up recording it, but I do have like some sketches on the other side of it that I was kind of worried would just kind of get muddled and disappear, because usually in the past when I've painted on stuff, usually the other side does end up kind of bleeding through to an extent, because you know it's a wet medium, it makes sense, but the other side is completely fine. Like at most there's a little bit of warping or wrinkling, but that's not that bad, and it's like manageable. It'll probably flatten out over a little bit of time, and my little sketches are completely safe on the other side. So that will make using these all the more easier, because that's always been something that kind of stopped me with markers. I always hate having to kind of plan out whether I'm going to draw on the other side of my page or not. Especially since sometimes I will kind of hop pages. If I am not feeling a piece, I'll go back. So just the fact that I don't have to worry about that necessarily. I don't have to worry about what if I draw on the other side and then I realize I want to color something, but I can't because on the other side is another piece. So I'm definitely really glad that I can now add a bit more color to my things. I might even go through previous drawings, maybe add a little bit, but we'll have to see on there. I'm definitely curious if anyone who does watch this has any suggestions they'd like to see. I know that this is my first video necessarily. I do have other things, but never something like with a talk over situation. And hopefully I'll be doing this a bit more often, because it's pretty fun. And I'll just let the video do the talking for a little bit, because I've run out of things to say for now. so this is me kind of coming to the final part of the drawing itself. I do a few final touches, and then I do end up taking the white paint marker just to kind of try to hide a little bit of the undersketch that poked through. I definitely did see that, like, I drew it on a little bit of an angle. I probably could have brought down the one side a bit, but I'll probably just crop it digitally when I do that, honestly. No shame there. But this is the final piece, and I'm definitely really happy with it, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more. So until next time, or whatever video I end up to do next, I'll see you then, and I hope you enjoyed and have a lovely day. Bye bye.